All right, y'all, welcome to video 3, where we're going to go over the exact protocol that I gave myself to get my testosterone over 1100. You saw in the last video exactly what my blood work looked like, how I went through it, the overarching patterns that we saw, and where my health was at that foundational level to then get it to where I wanted it to go. So we're going to dive into literally everything that I did from A to Z to get my testosterone over 1100, from the lifestyle things that I was implementing, from what I was eating, nutrition-wise, from the supplements that I was taking, literally everything that I was doing, we're going to go through on the screen share. This was the protocol that I gave myself. I phased it out in 2 different phases, which we're going to get into. I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. This is the foundational health side. We're going to go through phase 1, and then we're going to circle back in other videos on my blood work that I got in February to see how that worked, what changed. And the key thing I did here, I do for my clients, like I did for myself, like I did for you if you joined the program, was I phased it out. I gave myself 2 phases. Phase 1 was the foundational health optimization phase. So we looked at what was going on. You saw that in the bloods, the things, the health handbrakes that we're presenting. This protocol is based off of that. We're going to put those health handbrakes down. We're going to get my foundational health to a much more optimal place. And then we're going to go into phase 2 to throw gas on the fire and really boost those hormones up. So without further ado, let's get into the screen share. All right, so here we're going into the actual protocol that I gave myself based on the blood work that you just saw. This is how I do it exactly for clients. They get this Notion document and they get an overview, blood work findings, analysis, summary, protocol. So overview is just really, is just the overview, what their goals are, what their symptoms are. Blood work findings is just what you saw in the blood work, what's high, what's low, what's in the optimal range, and then what's the breakdown of that. We don't need to go over that. What I am going to go over is the analysis summary. So refreshing your mind, the overarching patterns that we saw: low stomach acid and poor bile flow, due to the blood work, the low total protein, the low globulin, the high BUN, low triglycerides, and low HDL made me see that I wasn't absorbing fats and proteins as well as I could. Symptoms on that side, because we really want to merge the blood work, which is the objective, and then we want to merge that with the subjective, which is symptoms, how I'm feeling, what's going on in those areas. So experience some loose stools in the morning, feeling full after high protein meals, and there's some gas. So those match up and make me see, like on the blood work and the symptomology, those merge and give me a good confluence of both of those things being true. Slight dehydration. I knew I wasn't drinking enough water, so the blood work mirrored that. These markers were slightly elevated, nothing crazy. Food insensitivities. For food sensitivities and intestinal inflammation, blood work, low WBC, high monocytes, high eosinophils. The symptoms: loose stools in the morning, gas in the morning, and I was experiencing some food reactions based on some of the food that I was eating. Suboptimal testosterone levels as well. We got that 681, and then the low total and low free. Symptoms: lack of sex drive, lack of motivation, not making progress in the gym. Post-surgery, wasn't feeling the best. So those are the overarching patterns, the nutrient deficiencies that we saw on there, and then also just knowing myself, the zinc from the possible low WBC, and then magnesium. I wasn't supplementing, sweating. Most people are deficient in this anyway, so I usually throw this on there as well. And we didn't see this on this blood work, but I went ahead and implemented some P5P because previously my prolactin has been elevated. So I went ahead and just did that. Nutrient deficiencies from the blood work, from knowing myself, and moving on to the protocol. So phasing it out, like I mentioned, how I do this with every client is we have a phase 1. We go hard on the health handbrakes. We optimize foundational health. So for me, that was cleaning up the nutrition, stop with food that I was sensitive to, that was creating reactions, lower the processed sugar as well. We're going to support stomach acid and bile through supplementation, through nutrition, eating practices, increase hydration and electrolytes. And this was a period where I was coming out of surgery. I wasn't really into the gym as much, so I wanted to get back into the gym and start increasing that intensity with my lifts. That's phase 1. Phase 2 is going into testosterone optimization. We have health where we want it, throw gas on the fire, get T high as shit. So we were using some targeted test boosters, more supplementation geared towards testosterone, starting to live the high T lifestyle. And as I was doing this, I was starting to really get into this and understand how it actually works and how it actually shows up in men's lives, and how we can utilize this to not only take supplements and test boosters and optimize our health, but live our life in a way that gives our body the signal that we need more T. And then just continuation of the foundational health protocol, see how we're going there, and continue the pillars and the foundations of that I needed. That was the summary. So getting into the actual stuff, I break it out into lifestyle nutrition, training, supplementation, and a little bit of extras. So we're going to go into the lifestyle stuff. Morning sunlight and earthing. This is something that I've been doing for like the last 5 years, every single day. And I usually give this to everyone as well. So it's just one of the best health habits that you can do. And for me, inflammation reduction, just start doing it and see how your life changes. So every morning, it sets the circadian rhythm for success, it increases morning cortisol, which we want, and gives you that natural energy boost. Earthing, barefoot grass in the dirt or earth, inflammation, energy, stress relief, super easy, 5-10 minutes in the morning. Just get yourself out there and do it. More specific to me was a circadian optimization, optimizing sleep, optimizing stress. I was starting to get red lights at night, so I was eliminating the artificial light at night, using blue light blockers, putting my phone in red mode, so really going hard on the circadian optimization stuff, which is a foundational health habit as well that can be really, really helpful. Water, we talked about the hydration, minimum 100 ounces of water, probably even more of that, and just ensuring that hydration was adequate, and then making sure I was hitting electrolytes post-sauna and post-training. Something I was implementing as well, first thing in the morning, cold shower. It was a cold shower. I didn't have a cold plunge. I was just doing cold showers to jumpstart in the morning to do something hard, adrenal stimulation, get that cortisol hit. Another thing that I was doing was AMRAP push-ups first thing in the morning. So pairing that with the cold shower. So just doing something challenging. Pushing myself to get to that failure spot with push-ups. And then I would hit the cold shower after. 100% organic cotton underwear. I had maybe 3 or 4 pairs of nads. So I was, throughout the week, I wasn't doing laundry that much. So I got a lot more and started to make sure that all I was wearing was the nads, was 100% organic cotton underwear. Avoiding polyester. We don't want polyester on our balls, especially when we're sweating. Plastics are leaching into them and creating havoc. Another thing that I don't have on here was just being a little bit more mindful when I am eating to chew my food. That's something that I get my clients to do a lot. I ask them if they're a fast or slow eater. I can be a fast eater. So just being mindful of when I was eating, putting my phone down, turning my phone off, putting it out of reach so I'm not just scrolling, smashing food down my gullet. Very helpful in terms of digestion, nutrient absorption, and that stuff. So that was the lifestyle, nothing crazy. Nutrition. So I give a structure, so kind of like a modified paleo. Whole foods, we're excluding highly processed foods for the most part, with inclusion of grains like white rice. I don't go full paleo. I think white rice is actually pretty good. Calories were maintenance. Digestive capability, like you talked about, was slightly hindered. Didn't give myself macronutrients to hit. Key nutrients that I wanted to make sure that I was getting: zinc, magnesium, vitamin B6. I was supplementing magnesium and then also B6 as well, but incorporating more sources of zinc, because zinc is also really important for stomach acid production, which I had low, and then also had that low WBC. So I wanted to make sure I was getting enough zinc. And that usually for me came from beef and lamb every now and then. Food additions. So I broke it up into digestive aids, proteins, fats, veggies, and fruits, and additional digestive aids. I was smacking bitter vegetables. So I literally would, this is kind of savage, but I would just grab the arugula with my hand, put it in my mouth, chew a bunch, and that would give my body the signal to start stimulating bile for when I was going to have a meal. I was eating more ginger, eating more beets. Sometimes I would do arugula salad with radish, lemon juice. So just getting the bitters, the acidity, that stuff really helps with digestion. So that was one of the biggest things that I started doing, made it a non-negotiable every single meal. I was having bitter vegetables. Now, caveat there, it wasn't like I was having Greek yogurt and putting arugula in there, making sure that this is mainly for high fat meals. So I was making sure that, if I was eating beef or something like that, there was no way I was not going to have some arugula with that. Proteins. So I was really driving the animal-based protein. I was incorporating a lot of these eggs to a certain degree, because for me, when I do too many eggs, kind of messes with my stomach, and I think that was creating some insensitivity there. So just limiting my consumption there, but still really good source of nutrients and just great food. Adding more fish like salmon and mahi-mahi were the main ones here. Getting those omega-3s, grass-fed ground beef. I was smashing a lot of beef liver, just like amazing superfood. I was incorporating a lot more dairy, which was great. I fucking love milk. Was doing raw when I could, or the low temp pasteurized dairy, getting some yogurt for protein, milk, cheese, just I do pretty well with dairy. Threw in some grass-fed whey isolate to help supplement the protein, collagen protein powder as well for some gut lining healing, and then bone broth as well. Collagen, gut lining healing, glycine, really healing and nutrient dense food. What I was doing is I was cooking my rice in bone broth. So you get that kind of like protein rice, which is cool. It's kind of a hack. That was good to know. Fats, grass-fed butter, high in butyrate, which is good for the gut lining. Avocados, Brazil nuts for some selenium to support the thyroid. Now, I didn't know my thyroid status, but I hadn't had Brazil nuts in a while, so I was like, let's max some selenium in there as well. Pumpkin seeds for the magnesium deficiency as well. Veggies and fruits. So I was going hard on fruits. These were the fruits that I was incorporating. Dates and figs, pretty calorie dense, and that's at the time, that's what I needed. Needed to eat a little bit more food and calories. Oranges, I was just loving them. Kiwi, these are all, vitamin C, really high in vitamin C. Strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, really high in polyphenols, good for inflammation. And I don't have blueberries on here because I'm sensitive to them. Bananas, really good. Pomegranate juice I threw in here. There's studies that show that it increased testosterone, so that was an easy fix. I would do this pre-workout. Raisins, high in boron, help with that. Free testosterone being really low. Carrots, detox estrogen in the gut. Ginger, like we said, helps with the stomach acid. I would do this in like a powder herbal tea, a powder form, and have that in the morning and kind of just get, the inflammation relief, get the stomach acid support. That was really good. In terms of vegetables, it was mainly just peppers and onions. And every now and then I would maybe have some broccoli, cauliflower, or some cruciferous veggies, but these were the main staples that I was hitting. I wasn't really going that hard on vegetables during this time, to be completely honest. Additional sweet potato, white rice, really good carb sources that I love. So I was doing that, and I would do the white rice in bone broth, so it'd have an extra protein and just nutrients in that. I'd also do white rice cooked in coconut water. If you like coconut water, if you like a little sweetness, like rice and coconut water, unreal. So good. That's a hack. And then you get the electrolytes from the coconut water in your rice. Crazy. And that helps me as well because of that dehydration piece. Dark chocolate. I'm a chocolate guy. I fucking love chocolate, but high in magnesium as well. So I was, it's not just my love. It has benefits as well, within reason, right? Raw honey and raw syrup, raw maple syrup, really good there. And grains of paradise pepper. I got a blend of pepper, so when I was marinating my steaks, I would throw this on there. Grains of paradise pepper have been shown to have some positive testosterone correlations. Food removals. So like I said, blueberries, sensitive to those, so I remove those completely. Eggs, the overconsumption creates issues for me, so I was limiting that. Not completely removing it, I was still having it. Processed sugar, I was smacking some sweet treats, so I definitely cut back down on that. That was creating some inflammation and just not really the way that I want to live my life, so I was bringing that down. Gluten, that's just, I try and avoid this for, even if it's sourdough, I try and avoid gluten for the most part, even though it might not, and based on my bloods, I was having some gut inflammation, so that's a no-brainer for me to cut out gluten. Alcohol, these are kind of obvious. Alcohol, seed oils, Dirty Dozen produce. I get all my stuff organic when I can, if it's available. GMO proteins like corn and soy. I can't remember the last time I ate soy. Long time ago. I avoid soy like the fucking plague. Sweeteners. This is more personal. Xylitol, erythritol, sucralose, sometimes even stevia can create gut issues, and I was really just avoiding that. Fried foods when I could, inflammation, or ask if I can get it cooked without seed oils when I'm at a restaurant and stuff like that. Or just not get it fried, get it grilled, get it blackened, something like that. Herbs and spices, turmeric and ginger, staples for inflammation relief. I'm going to come back up here and close the nutrition. Training, I will go into this on a different video. And then also, training will go into a different video. Supplementation, let's dive in. It's actually really simple here. So, super enzymes. This has stomach acid, this has ox bile, this has digestive enzymes. So this is really for the low stomach acid, for the bile support to help me with the digestion. And I was having those with meals. Magnesium glycinate, 10 milligrams per kilogram of body weight is where I like to start. So I broke it up into 2 different doses, post-workout, and then a big dose before bed. Electrolytes, just would have a pack, post-sauna, post-training. this wasn't necessarily an everyday thing, but just when I knew I was sweating a lot, I would replenish. If I would play soccer on the weekends, stuff like that. And then I threw in the P5P, which helps lower prolactin, which is left over from previous bloods, 50 milligrams of that, smack that. And that's pretty simple, like nothing crazy. Getting my health to a foundational point where it's much more optimal through looking at bloods and seeing what my body actually needed and then giving it that. It wasn't like, so this is my bloods as well. So like the things that we did see were fairly minor. So therefore this protocol wasn't the craziest. I'm a health coach. The way I live my life is pretty dialed in. So that's just kind of how it is. There were things that slipped through the cracks and, I'm not perfect. So that's why we do these bloods and that's why we're continually optimizing and doing these things. So that's supplementation. Aromatherapy, nothing really crazy here, just something I like to throw in. And then additional info for my clients if they want to, go deeper into that stuff. So that is the protocol. That is the implementation part of the blood work that you saw. And then next, we're going to get into phase 2.